Welcome to another edition of the Traders Club Weekly Preview. We're going to be looking today at the Euro Yen. Now, I've been finding the Yen very, very interesting. Now, if you look at it against most pairs, whether we're looking at the Canadian dollar or we're looking at the US dollar, I mean, most of these major pairs have had an extended, major currencies rather, have had an extended run against the Yen. Now, I think at some point the yen has to bounce back. Now, it's predominantly a safe haven currency, so this creates a bit of a problem in the face of higher interest rate environments, the potential of Greece resolving itself. Doesn't really put much hope for the yen when you think of it that way. But the yen has been quite interesting. So I've been paying a lot of attention to the yen. And I've also been noticing there have been slight differences between currencies associated with the yen from a pair point of view and currencies associated with other currencies. So I've been noticing a lot of strength in euro sterling that hasn't been as reflective in euro yen. So we're going to take a look at what the yen is doing across the board. Now, I'm going to cover Euro Yen. I think Euro Yen's interesting because it's the ultimate battle between risk and safety, much like Euro Dollar without the politics. All right, so let's take a look at Euro Yen. So I'm going to look predominantly, for those of you who've been following the weekly preview, we're looking a lot around value areas. Now, what has happened? So I'm going to get my Fibonacci's on the chart at some point, but for now, I'm going to be predominantly looking at value areas. So here we are. We see a balance. So again, the market has run higher and it's balanced and then continued higher, got rejected at the highs, traded back into value under 136.92 and has traded back down almost to 133 and has rebounded. So we came as far as 133.19 or 133.28 and then bounce back up again. So it's that concept again of, i.e. price entering a previous value area and the 70% probability of us trading the entire value area. So traders basically looking to trade against value. So day traders will be looking to play off these sort of levels. And what have we got? As we came into the weekend, obviously ahead of the Eurogroup meeting, which is not taking place from what I hear, and there's probably going to be more of a private meeting between the Greeks and their creditors ultimately. But what we got was a lot of movement in the euro, and we came to the top of the value area again and bounced off. So we basically closed within value. So from my point of view, the key here will be to look to see whether we could break above value, and this line here denotes that we're also trading overlapping value areas. So this was a reliable area in the past for the market to hold as value. So if we go back, we can see 138 was the value area high. If we check the date, going back to, let's see, 2014 July, right about now, and also 2014 September. So it's been a significant area that the market has generally respected even in the past from a value perspective. And now we're basically trading that. We've traded that range here, and going back to May, obviously this year, and we're going back now to look at it in terms of the future tense now. Obviously 8th of July was the last where we stood, and now we're coming obviously into the market again. So from my perspective, I think that this is a very interesting sign here. So the market has to trade above this level, and potentially there's a very good chance that we can come to test 138. Now, a break above will send us back into these sort of areas. So there's a very tiny sort of balance zone just above. So if we were to say, if we could to mark this out, it's really tiny, but worthy of note in this event. So again, there'll be a very good chance that if we could get into that zone, then we could potentially trade. So if we get above 138, then there's a very good chance that we get 140, 140.50. I mean, I think this is a safe area to kind of look to sort of exit the market. So from a longer term perspective, That's what it looks in terms of the euro. But the interesting thing is the fact that we've stopped short of the value area high and we haven't really broken. So looking at the volume as well, I mean, there's no real climax here. So we're not really getting that high climax associated with bullish candles sometimes, on the way up. These are normally really strong signals, and we're not really seeing that here. So what we've got, in my opinion, is pretty weak volume and very widespread. So there's always reason to be dubious when we see this kind of price action. So in my opinion, there's a very good chance that we could start to trade lower on the euro coming to Monday, and all of it is depending now on fundamentals. So we're not able to call the market in the same way from a technical perspective as we normally could do. Now, most of the time we have to rely a lot on what's coming out fundamentally, because a lot of the market is not really sure what's going to happen. So there are a lot of big players taking positions out of the market, lots of covering going on. So this generally creates a lot of volatility. So I think a lot of the market has been left to the day traders to kind of play around with. There's been the odd initiative activity, but for the most part, the market's been in control of the day traders. So, again, we're trading within that zone. So let's see how that turns out. But most interestingly, if we do our cross-market analysis, right, so we got the Fibonacci's here on the expansion. But then we can actually see that in this case, we're actually trading within value on the weekly and potentially pushing for the downside. So the weekly is giving me more of a signal that we could potentially see the euro trade down against the yen to 126.88, which will be the bottom of the value area in this case. So if we were to take a scroll back and let's take a look at that value area here. So this is where we're kind of trading. So we're at the value area high and we've been declining. So here the key is obviously in the weekly players get that signal that we're trading above value once we start crossing 139.20. So for now we're kind of sitting on those highs and we're declining. So the key here is that can we trade down to 126.86, which would be obviously a very big deal on the weekly. And if we're looking at spreads against volume, there's been a lot of high volume coming in here, and obviously look, the spreads are tight. We've had a lot of gapping activity. So for the most part, we're in a very interesting position, I think, on the weekly time frame in terms of where the euro could be. Again, that 126 level is very much rhyming with the 61.8% of the Fibonacci expansion. So it's probably a good area that the market could come in and test. So it looks very bearish for the euro when we look at it against the yen. So, it's quite interesting. We're seeing a lot of climax activity as we pushed into those highs. So, who knows what's going on here at this point in time. But I think on the weekly we're looking very, very bearish, and if we look at the daily as well, this signal here could mean that things get a little bit bearish for the euro. But I think these are one of those critical moments where we want to be patient to see if the market goes up a little higher and gets rejected. So again, for those of you who are following me, that was last week's, we were able to put our Fibonacci on the chart, which was always interesting, and we got that nice 50% retracement. So the market came in and struggled. So again, for those of us who are looking to play the day time frame, I was saying this level will be a key sort of area, and at 133.05, and obviously the market came back just short of that, 133.23. But as you can see, we're at a value area bottom. So, and then we reversed, and now we're at the value area top, and we're finding some resistance again. So the key is, can we get above and trade into this value area, which will present opportunities, or are we going to continue to trade lower? So this is a really interesting time at the moment, and if we were to reverse on the day, there will be a very good chance that we'll come back to test these sort of lows at 133. So again, we should be paying very keen attention to the euro and yen at the moment, because it's obviously braced for a pretty big move. And however you look at it, it's quite interesting when we're looking at these particular pairs. Again, just to take a brief look back and recap on what we did with euro sterling, talking about the power of value areas. So we had a value area defined, and I remember when the market was rolling and we were observing the decline in volume, and one of the things I was saying at this point was that there's a very good chance that the euro could rebound at the value area low. Well, it didn't take much, and the market gapped and we pushed up strongly, and we've been trading higher ever since. So when we look at the euro against, say for example, sterling, it's presenting us with an opportunities here that, well, we could potentially trade the entire length of this value area, which will mean strength for the euro. But this is not, for me, being reflected against the yen. So this makes me think about where the yen is and how it's going to perform against other currencies across the board. So the yen is actually proving it's a very interesting picture for me in a nutshell. And I'm really looking at this point now where we're trading this value area. We're the middle of value at this point in time. And we can see the zone, the range. So it's quite interesting if we're looking at euro sterling, going forward. And if we take a look actually at the weekly, it gives us a better idea. So you can see on the weekly chart, we hit that bottom. And again, we can see a similar picture. Again, volume's peaking. So we've got rising volume, obviously. But again, the spreads are getting tighter. But this is quite common on weekly charts, to be honest. But there you go. Again, look where we are, back to the 127. And we're still technically at the value area bottom. So again, the chances of the euro breaking lower against sterling, look, they're pretty slim. We came off at 161 Fibonacci retracement expansion from this leg here. So there's a lot of reasons now to think that the euro could at least come up to test the value area high. But let's see how the next couple of days obviously develop. And yeah, we obviously will stay on top of this. But again, guys, Traders Club is at www.tradersclub.london. I look forward to seeing you guys obviously at the webinars. We got our free webinar kicking off on the 1st of August, which is a Saturday, so it's good for everyone to be there. And yeah, our live room takes off officially on the 3rd of August, so I look forward to seeing you guys all there. But beyond that, look, have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all. Catch you all later.